Today we will look into a scenario in which the Turkic Nations unite in 2022. And well, it probably would be a strong version of Turkey. Turkey is the strongest nation. Well, a lot of these nations have close relations with Turkey too. So I make it probable, but the only problem is there's Turkic people living here. There's Turkic people living in North Azerbaijan. Turkic people living in Turkey. In Iran, yeah. Well, likely the first thing that would happen if they united would be a war with Armenia. The West probably wouldn't like this, but it's most likely because they want to connect. Yeah, this exclave is connected to Turkey, but the full country isn't connected. And it's a land grab. But they say it's to protect their people, which is a lie. We all know how well protect your people goes. But maybe it is the truth. You can protect your people. Anyone can. Doesn't mean you're justified in doing so, but you can still be doing it. You can be doing good, but be doing bad. Yeah. It is possible, but unlikely. Most likely, you're not. Well, there's always reasons for everything. And usually we'll never know the reasons for anything because, well, we live under a shield of propaganda. Well, likely they would puppet Armenia, not Azerbaijan, because, well, now they have good connectivity. But most likely they might even try to take lands from Iran, seeing the weaknesses in Iran. But the problem is a lot of the weaknesses are in this area, so yeah. But with this, they quickly head into the north. And there's definitely problems for Iran, who at this time may be a strong nation, but is struggling internally at this point. So likely this would be a major reason for this. And likely they would try to head this way, because this area with a lot of Azeris is very mountainous. So likely they'd be heading like this, and the nations up here in Central Asia, like Kazakhstan, which is a part of this Turkic nation, would likely be pushing in here. And also headed with the same goal. Eventually they connect. And this is like the final straw for, well, anti-government protesters in Iran would likely start protesting. But more so. Yeah. Well, they managed to do this. Well, they state their invasion of Iran is to protect local Azeris and Turkmens living within. Oh, yeah, it could be. But if that's true, well, a defensive war, you would not send in enough forces. Which raises a question. Why did Russia send 100,000 less forces on Ukraine and the Ukraine? Couldn't have been planned that well. Well, it could have been, but I doubt it would have been planned that well. And well, they do this. And they take these lands. Iran's civil war continues with forces pushing into the oil-rich areas, anti-government forces, and they connect with Turkish forces. Well, Turkic forces, because it is probably called the Turkic Union. Could just call it Big Turkey. A treaty is drafted in which these protesters take power under a condition that they have good relations, which they will. They basically negotiated them taking power. Well, they take these lands. Oh, the reason for is that, well, they are just trying to establish their country. Well, likely they would have bad relations with China because of what's going on in Xinjiang, but not going to say much about it. And yeah, the second Iranian revolution goes to success. And they sign a pact. Yeah, you know what pact is called? It's called the Ankara Pact, and they sign it, which makes them an ally, which will be that color. Wait, we could just use this color for today's video just to show allies. See, it's red but brown, if that makes any sense. Yeah. And likely they would want to invade Iraq and Syria to set up some buffer, which they would likely send a note to Saudi Arabia about this invasion, asking them to participate, which they would most likely accept, because why wouldn't they want to help? Well, they basically invade all of these three countries because they can. And they even invite Israel to support it, which I'd say Israel would as well. Israel, which would likely make, in less war, Palestine join. And that's going to be all for who's going to join, because, well, it would have to be. And, well, the invasion begins. It starts with Israeli offensives. Saudi Arabia pushes in. The new ally, the new Iranian government, pushes in. And they connect. They quickly manage to topple the south, with Turkey starting a sweeping campaign in the north. Isn't it crazy how Turkey did not support America's invasion of Iraq in 2004, but yet in 2008 they invade Iraq? I don't know how far they went into Iraq or what their purpose was, but I do know they invaded. Yeah, and then this last pocket of resistance starts falling. Like, the problem with resistance is this could be anyone, because, well, they basically need to conquer the full countries when they're in civil wars, because if you don't, well, there's nothing stopping the civil war. Israel would likely gain these lands in the treaty. Meanwhile, the Turkish Empire, well, the United Turks would likely annex these lands because, well, Kurds, which they dislike. Not going to say why or how. And, well, Saudi Arabia is a bit greedy and annexes these lands. Meanwhile, Iran annexes the rest. Well, they only did this because they don't need these countries. Yeah, I'm kidding. They probably shouldn't, but that means, like, will they do it because they shouldn't? Likely not. Saudi Arabia does not join a pact with Turkey. But they do go around trying to get allies, but Greece sees this as a threat to its national security, which is not a shock. And, well, Turkey gains a big chunk of land. I actually like these borders. You may have a different opinion because they're a bit border gore-ish. And yeah, Israel decides it's in its best interest to sign a pact. Well, Jordan decides, yeah, we'll join you, Saudi Arabia. So is Kuwait, thinking they're a threat. With Turkish ideals to go into these lands over, well, there's a new plan that's proposed. And, well, they invade Afghanistan. Yeah. Well, this is a big deal because, well, they march in. This will probably be a very long war, so I'd probably be back, leaving and coming back, so we don't need to watch it all. Well, they don't enter Pakistan. Well, they continue their advance into Afghanistan. Well, they try to get to the Belt Road and they push around it. Yeah. Slowly pushing around the mountains and all be out. And, well, they widen their fronts. Off these forces, which Turkey, basically, the Turkic Empire does not withdraw, they just push north. Then they meet in, well, the capital, Kabul, for a peace treaty. And we'll be right back. Iran annexed a bit of land, the Turkic Union annexed a bit of land, and well, a bit of a coalition kind of forms, and well, Bulgaria, Serbia, Montenegro, Greece all team up against Turkey. And yeah, and so does Cyprus. But they forgot one thing. There's a few loyal supporters of Turkey, the Turkic Union, which lay here. And well, they're not too pleased with this war, so they start a war. And they take out this country because I had the font too big, and I don't want to change it because, well, that's as far as they get. With Turkey launching a corridor, which goes to success. In 1 minute, well, many of the offensives onto the Greek islands. Yeah, not into the ocean because that's kind of hard to invade. And yeah, they take over the coast. No, they take over the islands, which goes to success. And well, then, well, they launch a naval war against them, which goes very successful. They take Cyprus's coast, and will all be waters under their control. And well, it leads one thing. Every country is in trouble now, including Greece, who's getting whipped. Bulgaria can't peace out. Because, well, have the Balkans ever peaced out? No. Well, they're very good. Yeah. Well, they do this. And this is the biggest success they've ever had. And so to the peace treaty. Yeah. And I'll be right. The Union's Navy and land and air forces have been shown to be supreme. Yeah, supreme. Well, they're basically, like, I would say now, the fourth strongest country, maybe. Yeah. And so they launched their bloody campaign. The bloodiest campaign ever. Yeah, so bloody. Yeah. They launched their bloodiest campaign ever in the world, in Turkey's history. Turkey is an old nation. And this is right. And so, well, China doesn't send many forces to the front, saying, yeah, we'll easily beat them with 8,000 troops. And so Turkey quickly launches a sweeping, well, campaign into China, into Xinjiang, where many people here are viewing it as a liberation, and even rising up to fight alongside Turkey. Yeah, those are uprisings. Beat that, China. Yeah, this is uprisings. Definitely a bit propaganda-ish. Yeah, well, according to the posters in Turkey. Yeah, and the rest of the Turkic Union, that's how far they extend. But no, that's not true. They're just telling their people that, so they'll fight. Yeah, and they push it. And all be happening decides to strike and start the Second Chinese Civil War. Okay, it's none but China's best friend. Okay, I guess you don't want to hear the jokes. But besides that, and first things first. Yeah, this is where the first pro-republic forces rise up along the coast. Yeah, this is vitally and economically important for Taiwan to win. Well, their life depends on it. Every war your life depends on. Yeah, if you lose, well, how do you know who's right in a war? Because I've heard that war is not about who's right, but who's left. Because think of it, you can be wrong and still win. And yeah, after 3 million deaths, this is what's occupied. And yeah, on the other front, you know how many people are gone? Hey, look how many colors I've ever used. Like, just look at it. It's crazy. And yeah, their war continues with about, in total, in all the fronts, there's about 14 million deaths. Well, the death rate is starting to go down drastically, but then China's kind of forced to meet them at the treaty table. Oh, not that, the table. After unconditionally surrendering. Yeah, and I'll be right back after this. Taiwan becomes a big country named the Republic of China. The People's Republic of China is starting to not prosper, unlike them. And then we have their new puppet, Tibet. And look how big. They expanded into Xinjiang and a lot into Inner Mongolia. And so, well, the Kazakhstan area, the Central Asia region is big. This is how they basically divided their empire. So there's a European section that lands in Europe and a bit of Turkey. Technically not in Europe, but these lands are also considered a part of the European section. With the Turkey section being here, the Kurds section being there, the Azeri state being there, and there's a Central Asian state they have that. And they have a Xinjiang, East Turkestan state. And well, they're the strongest nation in the world, officially. No, not the strongest, just behind him. But you know, as long as you don't have too much oil, he won't invade you. Oil. Oil? Okay. You need to be quiet about that. And thank you for viewing. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. Why should you subscribe? We're at 40. That's only 10 away from 50. That's walking distance. That'd be like if you were walking up across Newfoundland and you only had 50 kilometers left. That would be glory about to come. And yeah, we'll probably have 50 subscribers by, at the latest, March. And yeah, that's not even far away. So please like and subscribe if you want to see the special sooner. Get everyone you know to subscribe, and so on. Subscribe. And that's all for today's video. Wild